my name is Anina Rubio. I'm a visual artist and environmental advocate. But today, I am going to take on a different type of painting, which is painting on a fondant cake. Now, giving your loved ones a very personalized gift is always the best gift idea. So today, we are going to experiment with food color, particularly gel food color, and apply it just like watercolors on this fondant cake. Now, first things first, whenever you are handling food, it's very, very important to wear gloves for hygiene and sanitation purposes. For our materials today, we are going to use gel food color. We also have some luster dust. We have paint brushes. So for the brushes, I'm just using a normal watercolor or acrylic paint brush. We have water and we have vodka, but I will explain later on why we are going to use vodka for certain colors like the luster dust. I will explain it in more detail later on. So as you can see, I started painting this fondant cake already, and if you notice, it has a very similar texture or similar strokes like a watercolor painting. So you guys can see here, but I will of course demonstrate and give you tips and tricks as to how you can paint, because in Gavinos, anyone can bake, and in my opinion, anyone can paint also. So let's begin. So a lot of you guys probably don't know that I also bake. I don't really use it for business, but I baked a lot, especially during the lockdown. You know, I baked cookies, cakes. So when handling gel food color, you have to use water to dilute it and to blend it. So the more saturated the color is, it means that you are using a lot of the gel food color. But if you want it to be diluted or to be lighter or to adjust the value of the food color, you have to mix it or blend it with more water. So again, the more water you add, the lighter the pigment becomes. And the less water you add, the more saturated and thicker the pigment is. So again, I pre-painted some of the roses here already. Even if you have zero experience with painting on fondant, you can easily paint it because again, it's very fluid. You can easily blend it. And if you want to practice, there is a ready-to-use fondant that's available at Gavino. So everything that you can see in this video is available at Gavino's. So my suggestion is when you are blending colors, better to blend it on the palette before applying it on the fondant, because eventually the more you use water, the fondant becomes a bit more saturated and it becomes sticky. Fondant is made out of, if I'm not mistaken, marshmallows and lots of sugar. And another tip is when you are painting on a fondant, but don't worry, even if it's rock solid, it will still absorb the pigment because it's very porous. I like painting plants first and foremost because my advocacy is environmental conservation. So I am actively engaging in a lot of sustainable efforts to, again, help raise awareness in preserving our planet. For me, being able to preserve the beauty of nature in the form of art makes it more relatable to the audience. So here, it's very useful to use a long brush. But if you want more control, you can place your hand near the bristles. But if you want more range of motion, you put your hand at the edge of the brush. But again, if you want more control but smaller range of motion or better control, you can put your hand near the bristles. So again, this is why it's important that you're wearing gloves also, because at a certain point you need to touch the cake, but make sure it's just very gentle. So for the next part, so we used again First, we use the gel color here, but I want some luster dust. So for luster dust, you have to mix it with vodka. Any type of vodka. The reason why we are using vodka is that vodka evaporates more faster. So meaning, it doesn't saturate the fondant and it doesn't make the fondant sticky. Kaya kailangan vodka yung gagamitin and hindi water. Mas magbabind yung luster dust sa vodka, or you can also use lemon extract. Again, it's also available at Gavino's. In terms of ratio, it actually depends on how fluid you want the luster dust to be. But ideally, not too watery, but also not too thick, because if you want to be able to spread it and if you want your luster dust mixture to glide properly sa fondant, you have to just try the right amount of ratio. So I actually don't really measure. For other ingredients like yung ratio ng flour, sugar, yon, kailangan may exact measurement tayo dun. I'm not super strict with the ratio. Okay, so as you can see, here the consistency for me is still a bit parang fluid. I'm just going to add more luster dust. So edible din yung luster dust. And the good thing about this is that parang the alcohol actually makes it more shine. Yan. And I like using gold, especially if your fondant or if your cake is parang just plain, para at least it adds parang more texture and more dimension to the plain cake without, being too much. Actually, I started in the creative industry as a calligrapher. Anything that parang you painted or yung mga handwritten stuff, yun yung parang mas nagbibigay ng mas personal meaning to the gift. So here, I'm going to use the luster dust to write. Tatansyahin ko lang kung yung ko siya lalagay. If you can see, I am using my pinky as parang support para mas makontrol yung brush. And again, yung vodka or the alcohol actually gives the luster dust more shine. So if you can see here, ang ganda nung pagkaka-gold niya. So again, apply pressure. So for calligraphy, don't be pressured too much kasi it's not a super formal type of handwriting. You can apply the calligraphy techniques with your own handwriting. So again, ibay nyo lang yung pressure. Better pala if you're using a glass palette so that it's very easy to clean. And parang reusable siya, so at least less waste. Super important to take note of the words that are important. So kunwari here, I'm writing "you're the best." Yung word na "the," it's not that important. So okay lang na mas maliit siya. Yung mga words na again, gusto mong malagyan ng emphasis, yun yung mas malaki mong isulat. So now, we're done with the calligraphy part and then yung botanical painting part. But I'm also assessing now, I feel that I need to add more here para medyo slanted siya. So if you can see, nakulangan another flower here. Another parang hack that I saw is that you can use baking paper, trace your design there, and then parang gagamitin mo yung baking paper to transfer the design on your fondant. Okay, so whenever you guys are handling fondant, make sure na matapos mo agad yung project kasi magiging sticky yung fondant. Again, fondant is made out of marshmallow and sugar. And then another tip, of course, if you want finer details, you have to use a smaller brush or smaller bristle. Most of the time, I just use a round brush. Again, for acrylic or watercolor, better if it's synthetic kasi for cake lang naman. So now I am done with the painting part. Yung next step is we're going to use these Gumpaste edible flowers. So we have peonies and some rose buds to add more depth and dimension to the fondant cake. So as you can see, because we just used a white fondant, I decided to use parang medyo vibrant but not too loud na colors. And again, this is perfect for any occasion. Anything personalized is always the best gift idea. So everything that you can see here, you can shop for at Gavino's. So for our last part, we are going to add the Gumpaste edible flowers that you can also get from Gavino's, so that we can add parang more layers, depth, and dimension to this fondant cake that we painted earlier. So when you are arranging flowers, my only suggestion is, as much as possible, parang yung sizes niya, iba-ibahin nyo. The edible Gumpaste flowers, actually it comes with a wire so you can easily adjust. And easy naman siya to attach to the cake. So I'm just going to place them parang from here to here para medyo may layering pa rin. I want parang yung rose is the highlight flower, but para hindi rin super over yung decoration, clean, medyo muted ng onte. So I'm going to use the white Gumpaste peonies. Again, all available at Gavino's. And again, okay rin if you vary the height of the flowers para when you look at it, may layering pa rin siya. So, and then for these flowers, actually, pwede nyo pa siyang i-open ng onte. Pero again, please practice caution, baka mabali. So, fun fact, these edible flowers, edible Gumpaste flowers, can last up to 3 years. You can eat it, again, edible siya, pero wala siyang lasa. So, mostly for decoration purposes lang siya talaga. Then again, you can bend the wires para ma-adjust nyo yung position and placement. Para may layering, I'll add more flowers here on this side. Okay, last few flowers. Let me just check. Ayan, so by adding these edible Gumpaste flowers, nagkaroon ng parang more depth and dimension yung cake na plain white. So again, even if it's a plain fondant cake, if you add a personal touch, it becomes parang the best gift idea ever. So now we are done. Parang 3D flowers, painted flowers, and calligraphy. So with the calligraphy naman, you can write anything. Yung flowers, depende rin sa theme or dun sa color palette that you want. But again, for this particular cake, we just wanted to highlight yung roses. That's why I chose parang more muted colors for the Gumpaste edible flowers. So yeah, that's it. We're done. Now for other cake decorating suggestions, I created different versions or different styles using edible gold foil, luster dust, and food coloring that's gel based. And as you can see here, you can either opt to just paint the whole fondant, and I added some layers here. So the first one, I painted the fondant with the gel color, and then when it dried, I added the gold luster dust to add parang that marbling texture. And then here naman, again, I love painting plants, so I just used the edible or the food grade gel color to paint flowers. And then another suggestion is to use the edible gold foil, as you can see here. And then para may depth and dimension also, I created an oval shape for the fondant, and that's where I put the calligraphy part. So again, more personalized cake decorating ideas, and all of the ingredients, even the food color, the luster dust, even the fondant also, you can purchase from Gavinos because in Gavinos, anyone can bake.